World of Spaceships on paper. Well, this is something very special. As you can see, it looks quite chaotic, but it is something like Battlestar Galactica playing without a computer. So what's this all about? Well, when I was in class about 30 years ago, a teacher came into our class, a replacement, and he didn't really know what to do with us, so he showed us a game. And you wouldn't believe it, he showed us World of Tanks, but 30 years ago, which means that there was no computer, because computers were luxury and the top computers were Spectrum simulators, or the most top were C64s, and that was about it. So he showed us how to play this computer game on paper, long before it was, well, designed as a computer game, in fact. And what he did was pretty simple, but pretty effective. He told us, well, this is a tank fight. Two teams of tanks are challenging each other. So like this, and then you add 3 barricades wherever you want in your half. And the other person would do just the same on their side. And well, then the tanks could approach each other. So the other player had 3 tanks as well. And what you did was you moved your tanks over the board. You said, okay, let's move them with 5 squares each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and draw them here. And the interesting point here was that you of course could shoot, because it was a tank game, a war game. And how to shoot was pretty simple as well. You put your pen on the tip of the cannon of your tank, and then put a slight pressure on the pencil, and then draw it quickly towards the opposing tank, so like this. And if you were lucky, or very good at it, you could touch the tank, and if it was touched by this line, then it would have been destroyed. And as you can see, it's absolutely not easy to do. So first shot, move and shoot, and second, the opponent would move their tank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and shoot by themselves and try to hit your tank, and so forth. So a simple game, and at that time we enjoyed it. It was not that special. I personally did a bit more. I, well, developed a full-fledged fleet game with ships and stuff like that, and I was very much in it. And you can see here how much I was in it. There are lots of details. I wrote a whole rule book with all kinds of detailed rules and stuff like that, and it sort of went through the roof. And then I forgot it. But now, 30 years later, my children were eager to play something on the holidays, and we didn't have smartphones with us, and we didn't have computers, and nothing else, and we had some board games and card games, but all of them were just, well, we didn't want to play those. And I said, okay, I know something special. Look, we will play this tank game, but not with tanks, because I don't like militaristic games. And as we all know, as soon as we get into space and use space ships instead of tanks, then it's not militaristic at all, but it's just a happy boom, so to speak, and happy destruction. And so we invented a space game based on this simple strategy. And this led to, well, games which look like this. Now, what about this? I think it is a very nice and funny game, fun to play, and you don't need more than just pens and paper. So it's true pen and paper computer game. For the basics of the game, we have different spaceships for this. And you can take whatever you wish, whichever shape and whichever size you wish as a spaceship, because you are completely free to make your own rules. And in our case, the rule was that we could take small fighters. Each team would have 8 fighters, and then we would have the corvettes, which would be 1 square wide and not exactly 1 square long, or 1 square long and not exactly 1 square wide, like this. And let's say we have 4 of these. And then of course we have the cruisers, the bigger spaceships like this. So little rockets here. As said, the shape doesn't really matter. Important is only that it's 3 squares long and about 1 square wide. And let's take 3 of these. And of course, when we are in space, we need a battleship as well as the master of them all. And this is this one here. And it has small outlets like Battlestar Galactica, about half a square wide. It is pretty important that the players are fair or doing fair play, and the drawings are quite similar to each other because the size of the drawing and the drawing itself is the actual hitbox, which we will need later. We have seen with the tanks, when the pencil line touches the model takes damage, and this is the same here. So you have to draw it as big as here and not smaller, but not bigger as well, because otherwise it's too easy to hit. Okay, so we have these 4 basic units. We may include a little special one, so our little drone here with a shield in front, and we could say the shield will stop a shot and it might not be harmed by shots touching the shield, and neither would be units which are behind the shield. Last but not least, one winning factor would be destroy all opponents' ships, of course, but the other factor is much more interesting because you have a space station. And so you draw, theoretically it's a circle of course, but it's on the side of the board. We draw a space station and we place 2 cannons on it. Okay, fine. The cannons might be destroyed, as we have seen with the tanks. If a shooting line just touches them, then the cannon would be destroyed. But the space station itself can't be destroyed. The space station must be boarded, and boarding would be that an opponent's ship would come into contact with the base station, with the space station, so like this, for example, and then we could say, okay, boarding action, and the green player has won because he has done a boarding action, he has performed a boarding action. So these are our basic units. How do these units actually fight? Well, normally we take a small corvette here and a cruiser here, like this. Normally you would shoot, as said with the tanks, you go to the tip of the ship with your pencil. A slight pressure is required, and then while pressing slightly, not too heavy and not too hard, because otherwise you would rip your paper apart probably, you will draw your line about to the opposing ship. But you must do it fast, like this, not like this, because otherwise you will always hit, but fast and quickly. And as you can see, we have 1 miss and 1 hit here. Even a small touch, even if it just grazes the model on the side, this would already be a hit. And each hit would normally do 1 point of damage. We can agree upon the hull points of each ship. So we have drawn a table here with the hull points. The hull points are these, and so we can see, okay, our corvette, that would be this boy here, that has 2 whole hull points, and our 3 square cruiser has about 6 hull points. So now 1 point is subtracted from the 6. He has 5, or it has 5 hull points left. Fine. This is the normal shot. And of course, if there are asteroids and it looks like this, because there is an asteroid in between, the corvette may shoot on the cruiser because it has a line of sight to a part of the model. But the shot touches the asteroid, it grazes the asteroid, and therefore it stops right here, and the rest of the shot is deleted, discarded. It doesn't harm the cruiser, and the cruiser is safe. Moving, when we have 2 asteroids here and the cruiser wants to continue, it can continue through the asteroids, even if it wouldn't really fit as a model in between. But since there is a gap, the cruiser may pass through it. So 1, 2, 3 widths, and we from the point of the nose 1, 2, 3, 4. And I usually play it that the ships are ending up with their engines at the end of the moving line, so like this, and not as with other games, what we would have here, that the ship ends up 1, 2, 3, 4 with its nose at the end of the moving line, which would be like that. But I prefer it to move the ships further, even if they are faster then. Okay, so passing through asteroids is clear, shooting is clear, causing damage is also quite simple, but we have 2 specialities. One specialty is flak fire. Flak fire may only be used against fighters and torpedoes. Torpedoes, we will come to those later. First, the fighters. If a fighter is attacking a cruiser, let's say cruiser is here, and a small group of fighters with a movement value of 10 squares is approaching the fighter from here. So they are here, 1, 2, 3, those are our small fighters. Don't draw them too small, but not too big either, as said. So, this here. They approach, 1, 2, 3, and they are here now. And they want to shoot the cruiser down, which is dangerous because each fighter has one shot, and one shot means one damage, and they will hit at this distance. It will be very, very hard if you draw a line to miss, actually, the cruiser. But the cruiser can defend itself. For a distance of 10 squares, it can employ flak. As soon as the fighters enter this radius here, the cruiser may shoot at them. And it does shoot where they end up in the end of the movement. So what's flag? Flag is using your pencil again. And now you have to agree upon how high the pencil should be held. Usually it's right over the cruiser and for example a hand height, so like this. And then you shift from your cruiser over your target fighters, which you want to shoot down, but don't bow over the paper to aim. Just stay where you are, try to aim and move the pencil accordingly, and then close your eyes. This is important. And if you agree for 5 flag shots, then just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then have a look whether a flag shot touches one of the fighters. Any touch with one of the small points here would be a hit. Everything else would be a miss. This small tail does not count as a hit, only really the point where the pencil touched the paper first. So if I punch it here, bam, this would be a hit and the fighter would be destroyed. You can make it easier for the defender by saying, okay, we take 10 shots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but that's quite a lot and makes it much easier to shoot down fighters. So it's a bit of what you think is best, you both. You always have to agree on the rules, of course, because, well, it's a game between 2 players and both players should be happy, right? Next point from flag are the torpedoes, which I already have mentioned. Torpedoes may be launched from battleships, and a torpedo has a range of 10. The torpedo launch is that you take a pen as a ruler and you count 10 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and draw a little torpedo, which is smaller than a fighter, like this, really, really small. So this would be the torpedo line. Draw the line, that's important for later. And the first 10 squares after launch, the torpedo is inactive. So if it hits anything, the torpedo is destroyed, but the object hit wouldn't take any damage. It just falls apart. But from this point on here, it will be active. So if I'm aiming for a ship, let's say, well, let's actually hit it. Let's say here is a corvette, and I'm continuing next round, when it's my turn again, I'm continuing with the torpedo, and the torpedo line crosses or touches any part of our corvette, then it's a hit on the corvette, and this is dangerous, very dangerous, because a torpedo causes 3 points of damage, which means 1, 2, 3, and a corvette has, if we look on our table here, this will be available for download. I will put in a link into the description. Hull points 2, damage of a torpedo is 3, so our corvette is actually destroyed. The torpedoes may be shot down by flak fire. So again, we take the same. If the cruiser, for example, would like to shoot down the torpedo, it can do so by first pulling up the pencil, a hand height, then moving it over the torpedo as precise as possible, close your eyes, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, trying to hit it, which is not easy, as you can see. Alternately, you could agree that even shots could shoot down torpedoes. In this case, the torpedo is of course protected by the asteroid, so it can't be hit there. But if the asteroid wouldn't be there, I could try to hit it with a normal shot. So that would also be possible if you like. Fighters, on the other hand, can always be affected by normal fire as well as by flak fire. Both works against them. Fine, so we have the normal shots here, we have the torpedoes, and we have the flak fire. And if you like it, then you could even add lasers. And lasers would be, take a pen, put it on the tip of the ship right here, and then just aim for the ship you want to hit, and then close your eyes, put the pen down and draw a straight line. And if the straight line crosses the opponent here, then it's a hit and 1 point of damage. So a laser would be a nice addition, if you like. And as you can see, you can just expand the rules at your leisure. Fine, so we have movement, as said. We have the shots with normal shots, with flak shots, with torpedo shots, and if you like, with lasers. We have the hull points, which are reduced by every hit. Flak doesn't work against bigger ships, only against fighters and torpedoes, remember. But we don't have a game board. So what about a game board? Well, it's pretty simple. You take a piece of paper, and of course a clean piece of paper for preference. Here we go. And then we divide the paper into 3 zones. We have one zone here, and this one would be our green player. So this is green. And we have the other zone here, which is our red player. Red player here. So, and in between we have the neutral space, better to speak. In the neutral space, you both will place asteroids, small asteroids first, about 1 square, and each player places 1 asteroid wherever they want inside the neutral zone, and then the other one places an asteroid, then the first player places, and so forth. And you can of course also place bigger asteroids, 4 squares, so 2 versus 2 squares, or really big boys with 3 squares, so here. And then you might also want to add small barricade-shaped asteroids, 3 squares long and shaped like a U, which will offer nice protection for ships of you, so think well where you place them. Okay, so we have placed asteroids in the neutral zone. And after that, we may agree upon how many asteroids we may put in our own zone. So, for example, the green player may put 3 larger asteroids in his green zone, like this in this case, and 3 small asteroids as well. And so his map is finished, and the other player just does the same. However they like, wherever they like, it doesn't matter. If asteroids touch, then no ship may pass, but if there is a gap in between, then, as said, small ships can pass, not battleships. They need 2 spaces to pass through. Okay, so this. Last but not least, we are adding our space stations, about in the middle, with small guns. Don't make the guns too big or too small, otherwise the hitbox might be affected. So, 1, 2, and of course you can draw whatever you want to the space station. It doesn't matter, because the space station, as we will see, can't be attacked directly. Only the guns may be attacked directly. So you can add whatever you wish here. Next, you may place your sentry guns anywhere in your half of the neutral zone. Finally, place your spaceships in your home zone, so the blue or the green zone. You might agree upon that your battleships may carry up to 5 fighters. Now you are ready to go! About movement. When it's your turn, you might either move 1 unit or 1 group. A group might consist of 2 to 3 ships. Each ship must be able to reach each other ship to be part of the group. If a ship ends up farther away, it is a solitary unit again at the beginning of your next round. But at the beginning of the next round, you might add a unit that can be reached by any member of the group, up to a maximum of 3 ships or 5 or 8 fighters per group. So much for group movement, and that was the most complicated rule I think there was. For the turn sequence, the turn is always like this. The green player starts. First, the green guns are activated, the sentries. And if any ship is in range, the green guns have a range of 10, for example. You have to agree upon that, or maximum to the border, but they may not shoot into the red zone. Then they shoot first on anything that approaches. After that, it's the green player's turn to move their ships. For example, I want to move this as a group, but as you can see, these are 4, so I have to leave 1 ship behind, and I decide to leave that ship behind. But the corvettes here will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have entered the neutral zone and are eligible for attack now. And I can, of course, change their positioning as long as they are just moving 4 squares each. Well, that was actually wrong because it was 1 too far. So actually they are there. 1, 2, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So we end up here, there. This is not, but we leave that, we take that away. Okay, so this is the new position here. And now, since they have entered the neutral zone, the blue player, and now it's blue player's turn, can decide to shoot at them. And he decides, well, I will take that sentry. Only one sentry may shoot. I will take that sentry and fire, and it hits indeed. So this ship is hit by a shot, and you get 1 damage. They have 2 hull points, so this ship has 1 hull point left. Okay, now I decide, okay, well, I will move my battleship as the green player. I have shot my sentry as a red player, sorry. So I may move now my battleship, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So, like that. And the battleship will be here. It's the easiest to draw them always horizontally and not, or vertically, but not diagonally, because otherwise you will have problems with the exact length of the ship. It gets a bit strange. And now I decide, okay, I won't shoot at them with my normal guns because there are asteroids in the way and whatever, but I want to place a torpedo into their way. And so I'm aiming and launching a torpedo, and wrong pen. Take always the pencil for such subtle small movements so that you are able to clean them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. My torpedo is here. Okay, and now the other player's turn starts. This one, since it's the green player's turn now, this player could now try to hit our battleship. It does hit, and it's 1 hull point less now, so 9 hull points left. Okay, the torpedo just continues every turn. So the order of events is first shoot your sentries, if possible, then move your ships, and last move the torpedo. And if the torpedo connects to anything, maybe an asteroid or a ship, it explodes. With a ship it does damage, as long as the first 10 squares are left behind, and that's about it. So the game continues and can become quite wild, as you can see here. This player just sent his cruisers from down there, while the other player tried to move their cruiser from up there to the opponent. And the player here, the green player, managed to break through with the cruisers and attack the space station. Now what happens with the space station? The space station has 2 shots, like this, and each shot does 2 points of damage, so they are very dangerous. But the cannons might be shut down, what you can see here, so they are shooting heavily on the cannons and connecting to the cannons. Cannons have 1 hull point destroyed, so that the space station can't defend itself any longer. But the space station itself cannot be harmed. It doesn't take any damage. You must touch the space station with one of your ships, so with a corvette or bigger ship, like here, not with a fighter. And as soon as you touch the space station with your ship, you can board the space station, and then you have won the game. And of course you would also win the game if you shoot down all opponents' ships, but only because then you could advance to the space station and board it. If the space station shoots down your last ship as well, then it's a draw, and only the space stations are left from your battle. And that's about it. Okay, so as you can see, it's a computer game on paper, pretty simple, but yes, very interesting, very nice to play, and very interesting and nice duels. A bit confusing here, so you need to clean up a bit now and then and clean away all these firing lines to get a better overview. So don't use pencil for the ships, otherwise you will probably clean away the ships, or be very careful, that's also okay. But for the moving, of course, you might also just not draw lines, but just put the ships wherever you need to put them. By the way, here you see that the cruisers, which will move 4 squares, are moving 4 squares to their tip. So in fact they are just moving 1 square here, and then you are drawing a cruiser. So that's an alternative too, which makes the bigger ships significantly slower. Thank you for watching. Have fun. Just take your, well, writing pad or whatever, take some pens and just start away with nice Battleship Galactica, World of Spaceships, Space Battles on paper, pen and paper. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you understood everything. It's pretty simple. Make your own rules as they fit best for you and your companion, and just play away and have fun with it. Thank you very much. Until next time for a variation of other games. Woo!